All right, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about the battle for Punjab University. Now, this wasn't just some campus squabble. It started over who runs the university, but it exploded into something way bigger, pulling in everyone from students and farmers to major political players. It really became this massive showdown over the university's entire future.
So how on earth does a university campus turn into a battleground? Well, to really get it, we need to jump right into the middle of the action. Picture this. It's November 10th, 2025, and the whole place is at a complete standstill. I mean, we're talking barricades blocking the main gates, thousands of protesters chanting, and they're facing off against a huge police presence. This was the PU Bond, a total shutdown that brought everything to a grinding halt. So the big question is, what pushed it this far? How did it get to this boiling point? Okay, to really understand all that chaos, we have to rewind a bit and look at this really unique group at the very heart of the conflict, and that's the Panjab University Senate.
You know, you can't really talk about this fight without looking at the university's history. It's actually crucial. It was founded way back in 1882 in Lahore, and its modern identity was really forged after partition. But here's the key part. For decades, its tradition of being run democratically through an elected Senate was legally locked in and protected. And that long history of independence is a huge reason why people are so passionate about this. So you gotta understand, the Senate isn't just some boring administrative committee. Think of it more like a mini parliament for the university. It's this powerful 91-member body, and its whole purpose was to make sure the university answered to its own people. You know, the teachers, the alumni, the graduates, and not to politicians or bureaucrats somewhere else. Okay, so now that we've got that background, let's look at the two specific things that basically lit the fuse on this whole powder keg.
First up, something students started calling a gag order. The administration started making new students sign these affidavits, basically promising they wouldn't protest without permission. Kind of wild, right? And then on October 28th, the central government just dropped a bombshell, a formal notification to completely change the structure of the Senate. And when I say change, I mean it was dramatic. Just look at the difference. The old Senate, a big 91-member body, with most of those people elected by folks right there in the university community. The new proposal? A tiny 31-member group, with most of them nominated by the central government. It was a complete flip of who was in charge.
Yeah, that one number really says it all, doesn't it? Going from 91 down to 31, that's not just a small adjustment. In the eyes of the protesters, this was nothing short of a hostile takeover of how the university was run.
And for everyone who was against this was about way more than just, administrative changes. They saw it as a calculated move to centralize power, to strip away the university's historic independence, and to weaken Punjab's own autonomy, basically turning a state treasurer into just another branch office controlled from the center. So, as you can imagine, the reaction was huge. And it didn't just stay on campus. Nope. It sparked this massive, united resistance that spread from the lecture halls all the way out into the countryside.
And the president of the student council, a guy named Abhishek Dagar, he really put it perfectly. He said, look, this isn't just about some rules on a piece of paper. This is about protecting the university's soul.
And what's really incredible here is who joined the fight. It wasn't just students. You had this totally unlikely alliance pop up. We're talking major farmer unions, artists, former students, and even political parties that are usually fighting each other. That just shows you, this thing got way bigger than campus politics. It became a rallying cry for the whole state.
Okay, so with that much pressure building, you'd think the government would just back down and, that's the end of the story, right? But it's not that simple. As we're about to see, this is a very unfinished fight. It's a victory that, for the people protesting, doesn't really feel like a victory at all.
I mean, the backlash absolutely worked. And it worked fast, like incredibly fast. The notification comes out on October 28th. By November 4th, the Centra hits pause on the whole thing. And then just 3 days later, on November 7th, they completely scrap it. Gone. So on paper, this looks like a massive win for the protesters.
But that brings us right back to where we started. That chaotic protest on November 10th. If the notification they were fighting against was gone, why was the university still shut down? Why were thousands of people still out on the streets?
And this is the real core of the issue. Here's the catch. While the immediate threat of that new, smaller Senate was gone, the old one, the democratically elected one, was still missing in action. See, its term had actually expired more than a year ago, and no new elections had ever been held. So the protesters just didn't trust the government's reversal. For them, a real win wasn't just getting rid of the bad thing, it was getting the good thing back. And that meant holding elections now.
And that, right there, is why this story matters so much, even if you're nowhere near Punjab University. For the people on the ground, this fight became a symbol for much bigger things. We're talking about federalism, that delicate balance of power between the center and the states. We're talking about free speech on campus. And we're talking about the fight to keep public education affordable and open to everyone.
So, the standoff continues, and it leaves us with this really critical question. They won the battle against the new notification for sure, but the democratic body it was supposed to replace, well, it's still gone. So what happens when winning a victory isn't actually the end of the fight?